Hello YouTube viewers, hope you're all doing good. Welcome to this video. I'm Venkat and this is just me, an open source channel. Right, in this video we're going to look at how to deploy Nginx Ingress controller in your Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so you might be wondering why I'm doing this video again, because for those of you who are following my series, you would have noticed that I already done a couple of videos on Ingress controller. The first one was based on Nginx, and then I also did one based on Traefik. So in YouTube, if you search for just me Nginx Ingress, so that's the one, Nginx Ingress K8 is bare metal. That's the one that I did a while ago. And then I also did Traefik Ingress. So Traefik Ingress, both are kind of similar. And why am I doing this video again this time? That's because in the original video that I recorded a long time ago, I didn't mention, or I didn't show you how to set up a path-based routing, right? So you set up a top-level domain, and using Ingress controller you can access your web application, but I haven't really shown you how to use a path-based URL. In a URL, how you can use paths, various paths for the same application using the same domain name. So that's what we're going to do today. And one more difference is for this video, for the original Nginx Ingress video that I did long time ago, I used a different Ingress from the GitHub repository. For this one, I'm going to be using a proper Kubernetes Nginx Ingress. So let me show you what I used for my previous video, and I'll show you what I'll be using for this video. Nginx Ingress. All right, so Nginx Kubernetes Ingress, so that's the one I used in the previous video, and there are some differences, but I'm not sure what the differences are. But go for this Ingress that I'm going to show you, the proper Kubernetes one. So this one is by Nginx. So there is one for Kubernetes Ingress, and GitHub. Yes, that's the one, Ingress-Nginx. That's the one I'm going to be using for this demo. It's all simple. Basically, I'm going to be using Helm to install this Ingress Nginx. It's very simple. And about my setup for this video, I've got a Kubernetes cluster. The version of the cluster is 1.15. So that's, make a note of it. kubectl version -- short. So I'm on version 1.15. If you look at the server version, it's 1.15. And if you're using Kubernetes version 1.16, Helm won't probably work in Kubernetes version 1.16. You have to tweak it a little bit, and they're not supporting version 1.16 yet. So my next video will be about that. Not the next video, I'm going to record that video next, but I'm not sure when I'm going to release that video. And I'm going to show you how to install Helm in Kubernetes version 1.16. You need a little tweak to the YAML files, otherwise it won't install because of the API version changes. Alright, so I've got Kubernetes cluster 1.15 and my Helm version is 2.14. Don't go for Helm version 3 yet, it's in the pre-release stage. They are completely getting away with the tiller component that you install on your cluster. So for this demo, I'm using version 2.14, Kubernetes version 1.15. And apart from these two, one other thing that you need is a load balancing solution. So for bare metal, we can use MetalLB. So I've done a video on MetalLB. If you search for just me, by the way, if you want to search for any of my videos, just start by typing just me and then type the keyword for whatever you want to search. Alright, just me MetalLB. So MetalLB load balancing in K8, so that's the video. Please watch that video. I've already set up MetalLB in this demo, so I don't want to waste much time. So getting started with Helm, that's another one if you haven't used Helm before. Just me Helm and tiller in Kubernetes, so that's the video. I'll put a link to all these videos in the description. So you need a Kubernetes cluster running. You can use my vagrant provisioning to set up a Kubernetes cluster. You need to have Helm installed, and you need to have MetalLB installed. And if you're following this video on a cloud provider, AWS or GCP, don't worry about the MetalLB, because they are going to automatically provide you with a load balancer. when you create a service of type load balancer, a load balancer will get created automatically if you're with a cloud provider. But on bare metal, on-premise, we have to have a load balancing solution. So I've gone with Metal LB. Okay, I think I've done enough talking, and now let's go ahead and install the Ingress. All right, so helm search Nginx Ingress, and we have that one there. I don't think we need this anymore, or let me bring it down. All right, so Nginx Ingress, so that's the one we are going to install. Chart version is 1.24.2. App version is 0.26.1. Okay, let's go ahead and install that. Helm install stable. Nginx Ingress minus name my Nginx minus set rback dot create equals true. All right, so when I do that, it's going to deploy a lot of resources. kubectl get all. And you can see we have a Nginx Ingress controller created, and it is of type load balancer. So if you haven't deployed Metal LB in your cluster, the external IP here, which I got, in your case, it's going to be in the pending state. You won't get any external IP unless you set up Metal LB, right? So that is our load balancer IP address. All the access that we are going to do for the applications will be through this load balancer IP. I'll show you how to add that to the etc host file, because we'll be accessing the application using the DNS name, not through the IP address. All right, let's see where we are with the pods. kubectl get all. Okay, so our pods are running. So that's the Ingress default backend. And we have the Ingress controller, service of type load balancer. Everything is looking okay, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to git clone my Kubernetes repository. Git clone https github.com just me an open source /Kubernetes. I'll put a link to this in the description. cd to Kubernetes, and then cd to YAMLs, cd to Ingress demo. All right, so I've got a few files here, and I'm going to deploy these 3 files. These are basically simple Nginx deployment. I can show you real quick. Nginx deploy main.yaml. So that's, as you can see, it's a very simple, very simple deployment file. If you're using Kubernetes version 1.16, this YAML file won't work as it is. You have to change the API version from extensions v1 beta 1 to apps v1. I've also done a video on that, the changes on version 1.16. So you have to bear in mind, if you're using version 1.16, you have to update this to apps/v1. All right, so in our case, it's a very simple deployment. As you can see here, nothing strange about it. And I've got other 2 deployments, Nginx deploy green.yaml and Nginx deploy blue.yaml. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm mounting a volume. I'm using an init container. The init container just does this one. It creates an index.html saying I am green, and then user share Nginx HTML, because I'm mounting user share Nginx HTML as a volume. And then using the init container, I'm creating the index.html. So when the actual Nginx container starts up, it mounts user share Nginx HTML, which contains my index.html, just to differentiate between the different deployments. All right, so let's deploy that. kubectl create -f Nginx deploy main, Nginx deploy blue, Nginx deploy green. All right. So we've created 3 deployments. Let's see how it's going. kubectl get all. All right, so container is creating, and you can see pod initializing. That's because these 2 pods have the init containers there. kubectl get all. All right, so it seems all of them are running. All right, so now we're going to expose these deployments as a service. Remember, we are not going to expose these services as node port or load balancer or anything. It's just plain simple cluster IP, which is the default. These services are not exposed outside. So access to the applications are through the Nginx Ingress controller. So you don't have to expose this deployment as node port or load balancer. Just the default cluster IP should be fine. All right, so let's expose these three deployments one by one. kubectl expose deploy Nginx deploy main -- port 80. Nginx is running on port 80, so I'm exposing that. Again, the next deployment Nginx deploy blue, and again now the last one Nginx deploy green. All right, so now if I do kubectl get service, so we have these three service created for the three deployments. The type is cluster IP, and we should be able to use the ingress now. All right, so we've created three deployments, three different web pages, and we have exposed the three deployments so they can be accessed by the ingress controller. So now the last step is to create the ingress controller. So I'm going to show you two different examples here. Okay, so I'm in my GitHub repository in the ingress demo directory. I'm first going to look at the ingress resource 1.yaml, vi ingress resource 1.yaml. If you can't see it really, I can turn the syntax highlighting off. Okay, that's better, so that you can see the colon and so on. Okay, so ingress metadata rules. So basically I'm saying if a request is coming for nginx.example.com, redirect that to nginx deploy main on the port 80. So that's the service that we created just now, and so that's set as the backend. So whenever a request comes to the nginx controller for nginx.example.com, it's going to redirect me to the service nginx deploy main. Okay, shall we try that? And one more thing to notice, I forgot. So you need to add an annotation to, because this example, this YAML file I created for my previous video, and now I'm using a different Nginx Ingress controller from Kubernetes. So I need to add an annotation. So add annotations under metadata, annotations, and the annotation is going to be kubernetes.io/ingress.class is Nginx. All right, so that's all you want. Save that and then create that ingress. kubectl create -f ingress resource 1.yaml. All right, so that ingress is created. Let's check the status of it. kubectl get ingress. So we have one. kubectl describe ingress resource 1. Okay, the host is nginx.example.com. Backend is nginx deploy main and on port 80. All right, so it create. The reason is create. So it's all looking good. So now we are ready to access nginx.example.com, and it should, the nginx ingress controller should redirect us to the service that we exposed earlier. All right, so how do my host system know if I type nginx.example.com? It's not going to find out what nginx.example.com. So I need to know, I don't have a DNS server or anything. So I need to update my etc host file and update the load balancer's IP address. kubectl get service. So my Nginx Ingress controller, the load balancer's IP address is this one, 172.17.0.200. I'm going to copy that, sudo vi etc hosts. And in here, just paste that IP address and type in the DNS name, nginx.example.com, save that. So now we are good to go. So we have added an entry for nginx.example.com, which is the IP address of the load balancer, which is served by the MetalLB stuff that we deployed. All right, so now we should be able to find out or access the web page. Cool, so that's our Nginx welcome page. That's all looking good. So our ingress controller is working perfectly fine. So now the interesting bit, I'm going to show you how to use path-based routing. But before that, let me show you another one. Let's delete the ingress, kubectl delete ingress 1. So we don't have any ingress resource deployed. And now if I do nginx.example.com, it says default backend 404. That's okay. And bi ingress resource 2.yaml. Let's look at what's in 2.yaml. Again, I'm gonna turn the syntax highlighting off. All right, so here again, I'm gonna add the annotations kubernetes.io/ingress.class is nginx. So in here, basically in the previous ingress resource, we just deployed one rule. So now we have three rules. So nginx.example.com, and if the host is nginx.example.com, if a request comes for nginx.example.com, the ingress controller will direct the traffic to the nginx deploy main service. And if it's coming to blue.nginx.example.com, it will redirect that to accordingly green.nginx.example.com. It's basically the same rule. I've just changed the service, the backend service, and the host name. All right, so let's deploy that. kubectl create -f ingress resource 2. Error validating ingress metadata unknown field annotations. I might have got the spelling wrong. vi annotations. Yes. All right, let's deploy that. That's done. kubectl describe ingress 2. All right, so now you can see nginx.example.com. The backend is nginx deploy main service. If I type in blue.nginx.example.com, nginx deploy blue service will be called. Green.nginx.example.com, nginx deploy green service will be available. Okay, so first let's check out nginx.example.com. Yep, that's working fine. And if I type blue.nginx.example.com, it won't work. That's because we don't have that in our DNS. Sudo vi etc host, just copy that line and paste it, because we are accessing the same load balancer IP address. blue.nginx.example.com, green.nginx.example.com. Save that. And now if I do blue.nginx.example.com, it says I'm blue. All right, so that's cool. And now if I change that to green.nginx.example.com, it says I'm green. Okay, cool. So that's working fine. So that's top level routing. You just give the DNS name, and for each application you specify the DNS name. So what if you register one DNS name, and if you want to redirect to different services based on the path that you give in your URL? So that's what I'm gonna try now, which I didn't do on my previous video with the Nginx Ingress. So let's try that out in this one. Okay, so let me close that and delete the ingress that we just deployed. kubectl delete ingress 2. So now I've got ingress resource 3.yaml file. Let's see what's in there. Okay, so now we have a few more things and it should work. Right, syntax of API version kindness ingress metadata annotations. I've shown you how to add this annotation. Kubernetes.io/ingress.class is Nginx. That's okay. And the important bit is, which I found later, I was just scratching my head why this path-based routing was not actually working. That's because I didn't have this annotation. So this annotation is very important. nginx.ingress.kubernetes.io/rewrite target/. So if you don't specify that, your main ingress will be working. I mean, your main DNS URL will be working, but your other paths won't be working fine. All right, so that's one. I forgot to change the name here. All right, so we have just one rule for one host, nginx.example.com, and we have three paths. So that's the default path. When you type nginx.example.com, it will take you to the backend service nginx deploy main. And if you do nginx.example.com/blue, so that's the path that you append to the your existing nginx.example.com domain name, it will be routed to the Nginx deploy blue service, and similarly for green it will take you to the corresponding service. All right, so that's what we're going to check now. Sudo vi etc host. We don't need these two anymore. Let's delete that. nginx.example.com kubectl create -f ingress resource 3.yaml. all right, that's created. kubectl describe ingress 3. all right, so now you can see the path here. When you type in nginx.example.com, it's going to take you by default to this one. /blue will take you to the blue service, /green will take you to the /green service. Alright, so we have two annotations here. This annotation is very important, otherwise it won't work. Alright, so we are good to try it now. Let's try nginx.example.com. That's working perfectly fine. I hope it should work now. nginx.example.com /blue. Yay, I'm blue, working perfectly fine. And nginx.example.com /green. I'm green. Cool. So that's what I wanted to show you in this video. If you've got any questions or any comments, please let me know. If something is not working for you, just leave me a comment. I should be able to get back to you. And this particular video has got lots of moving parts. You need to get your MetalLB stuff working first. So for example, just try following my MetalLB video, deploy your MetalLB solution, and then just create a simple Nginx deployment, expose your Nginx deployment as a load balancer service, and see if you can access the web page for the Nginx welcome page. You need to get your MetalLB working, you need to have your Helm working and everything, and that's it. Alright, please share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I will see you all in my next video. Bye bye.